All right, welcome back to the Roofball Federation of America podcast. It's been a long time since we had one out.
Since May.
Since May of 2024.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is still this year. But a couple of interesting things happened, I guess, in between May and now in the roofball world.
Some small things, yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool things actually. Yeah, a whole season pretty much of roofball. I think
Got on ESPN2.
ESPN2 was on. Still sometimes randomly shows up.
ESPN News here and there. Check your local listings.
That's right. We don't even need the Ocho. They'll put us on.
Yes, we do.
The channel.
Yes, we do. ESPN. We're very excited for season 2.
Jumping into this episode, we'll get to an interview in a second with a very interesting person and an interesting story. Kurt, I'm going to butcher his last name, so you correct me when I get it wrong. Spinelli.
Correct. You got it.
Dude.
You got it.
All right. Re-edit all that, so I didn't confess to something I didn't do. So Kurt has hosted probably a few games of roofball, shall we say, and then at least one tournament. And has some interesting things in the works. But the most I keep saying the word interesting here, but the biggest, coolest kind of thing for us about Kurt is that he's doing it in a different country. So it's not the United States. In fact, it's not even this continent. He is in Australia doing all this, and we've seen some video. We posted some video, and in fact, he's even got his own channel up and running for Roofball Australia.
RoofballAus, yeah, it is pretty wild thinking about. First of all, just the expansion of Roofball in general has been pretty wild. But the idea that the first people that ever held a tournament outside of the U.S., they didn't do it in Canada, they didn't do it in Mexico, they didn't even do it in this hemisphere. They did it in Australia. That's wild. And if you have a chance, go check out RoofballAus. That's the channel over at YouTube. And it really feels like the old days of Roofball. It's just a bunch of guys hanging out, drinking beers, and throwing a soft touch Aussie rules football up at an event on the roof. So it's a great watch and just having a great time.
That sounds actually very similar to current day roofball.
It's pretty close to now, yeah.
The actual ball that's being thrown, yeah. Awesome. Well, not only do we talk about roofball, we talk about a few things Australian. I know there's some questions that we probably both had, and you definitely asked some, and I got even surprising answers.
I agree.
One of them, I was like, this is like one of those stereotypical questions that isn't going to be accurate. And they're like, no, that's right. And I was like, oh my God, okay. Awesome.
Kangaroos hopping through the yard.
100%. I've woken up at some houses I've lived in with deer and stuff outside.
Yeah, and
definitely raccoons and that kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing. I think the thing that's so funny about it is that if they saw a deer walk through their yard, they'd freak out. What is this exotic creature that's walking through my yard? For them, kangaroos are just that thing that's hanging out. It's
a nuisance.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like talking. It's kind of like talking to an alien. It's like, oh yeah, this happens all the time. Like, it does. Kangaroos just hop through the golf course? All right, sure, why not?
All righty. Well, anything else you want to add before we get to the interview?
It was great to talk to him. It was great to, you'll hear very early on that we were talking to him. He was in the future when we talked to him, which was pretty cool. And just to find out his level of enjoyment and him and his buddies playing a game that, I invented and we nurtured and grew on a driveway in Beaverton, Oregon, the idea that it was being played somewhere around 10,000 kilometers away. With guys just having a good time. It's my dream for Roofball is exactly that it brings people together and that people all over the place can have fun doing it. And to see that little bit of proof that can happen that far away was really, really cool. It was great to talk to him.
Yeah. And about bringing people together, he and other folks down there seem very interested in making a trek out here, not just to play one Roofball, to do a whole tour of the country in Roofball, which, heck, I haven't even done. So it seems like they're definitely into it. Alrighty. Well, without anything else, we'll hop right into the interview. All right, everybody. As mentioned, we are back doing podcasts. It is the off season now. More content on the way. But here we have a very special guest, Kurt. Kurt, say hi to everybody out there in Roofball land.
G'day, guys. How are we?
Excellent. And for those that can pick up different accents and stuff, might say, "Hey, that doesn't sound like what we've heard on this channel." pretty much every single episode ever. So Kurt, I'm going to say right now, as we're recording this, it is Tuesday at 4:25 p.m. my time. Where are you at, and what date is it, and what time is it?
So where I'm sitting in Albury, Australia, it is Wednesday the 30th at 10:25 a.m.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you getting on in the morning your time. That's great. It really helps us out. So tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Albury.
A little bit about Albury. Well, I actually had to jump on Google before and just say, "Oh, what's there about Albury we can discuss?" But nothing too crazy. We're a pretty humble town here. We're located pretty much smack bang between Melbourne and Sydney. Got a population of about 60,000 or so. I think just shy of 60,000. We are quite rich in our sport, so we have a large range of sports here, all from AFL, soccer, softball, baseball, cricket, field hockey. There's plenty going on here. Water polo. There's just so much sport going on here as well. We sit right on the Murray River, which runs pretty much the divider of New South Wales and Victoria. So it's a lovely little spot we're sitting at here.
So for to dispel some myths or maybe even perpetuate them. So I think a lot of Americans have an idea that, especially if you're not in a major city, that it's probably just koalas and kangaroos and huntsman spider just all around in your backyard. What's the level of truth of that?
Yeah, not too far off. Not too far off. There's also native bird or native to here, and I think South New Guinea, the magpie. Now the magpie, and we just come out of their mating and breeding season, so they get pretty aggressive as well. So they're known to swoop you and claw you and whatnot as well. But yeah, as far as the koalas and kangaroos in your backyard, yes, you do get the odd kangaroo every now and then, depending on how high your fence is. But you go to any golf course, and yeah, absolutely covered in kangaroos all over the place.
That's great. We have a radio host in Portland that his understanding was kangaroo were almost at the level of deer up here in the Northwest. And he wanted to do some type of a trade with Australia where we give you half of our deer and we get half of your kangaroos. So that when we're walking around in the forest, a kangaroo might hop up. I think this is a brilliant plan. I don't know how we pull it off, but I think we should go for it. So for my arachnophobic wife, how often do you run into a huntsman at least like small dinner plate size?
Small dinner plate size, you might come across one maybe a month or so. Depends.
Yeah, my wife's not coming to Australia.
How active you are.
Done. She's done. Maybe once a year she could handle, but not so much. Right. All right. So the big question: how in Australia? How 8,000 miles away, 10,000 kilometers plus away? How did you find Roofball? How did you get into Roofball?
So it was one night myself and Braden, who you've seen on some of the videos with us. Him and I were just watching the Ocho, watching some ESPN8, just watching some unique sports on there. And then the next day he just kept looking into some, and he came across you guys on our Reddit and messaged me straight away. And he goes, "God, have I got a sport for us to watch?" And I think that night we sat there and watched I think it was the 08 and 09. I think it was those. So we watched those and we were absolutely hooked on it. So it was, I think what we loved about it the most was just how much fun everyone was having with the competitive side of it as well. But our favourite part by far was you turn around and there's 20, 30 blokes all sitting there sipping on cans. So that was I think that was what kept us interested.
Yeah, I would say we've in the videos that you've shown us that we've watched online and you sent over to us, one, we appreciate that, but two, it definitely has that vibe to it. So we're glad that came across.
Yeah.
So that was what kept everyone interested. So
yeah. I think actually one of our videos yesterday was not about Roofball. It was about having fun while playing Roofball.
Performance enhancing substance. Yeah.
That's performance enhancement. That's it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, your athletic sports background, if any.
Yeah, I've played a fair few sports growing up, ranging between basketball, softball, still play softball now, field hockey, as mentioned, play a bit of cricket, a bit of golf, not as much, but still a bit of golf as well. So I don't like sitting still. I like getting out and around and doing something, and being around, obviously, the team environment as well is always amazing.
What was your best sport?
I don't think I want to answer that because people that'll watch this will tell me how wrong I am. But Oh, probably I'd say of them all, probably field hockey is probably the one that I'm better at of a lot of them.
And so you're an athlete, you liked watching Roofball. What made you take the leap from watching Roofball to putting on an event of your own?
So we had the hockey fellas around one night. I think we had the buy on, so we everyone just came around, had the barbecue going, had the fire on, TV on out the back, and I think I just mentioned it, and they're like, "What is Roofball?" And I said, "Oh, what's Roofball?" So we've chucked the YouTube on the TV, and I've been trying to find a snip for you of us all just sitting around watching it, and I think might have been yourself, Derek. No surprise, of course. Hit the around, and I think we all jumped up and went absolutely ballistic. So from then we knew that there was something special about the sport, and that we said, all right, we've got to have a go at this. And jokingly that night too, we've gone, oh, I said, you know what we should do? We should reach out to them. And then from there, that went, oh, imagine if they reply to us. And then we start our own association here, and then we get going and we get talking to them. And what are we, 4 months later or so? So here we are. So just never thought we'd get to this kind of level of it.
Was that the same night that you basically played until you were told to shut up, or was that later? Then the person who owned the house was like, that's enough?
Yes, that was a few weeks later. So that was when so my partner, she was out for most of the night, which we had planned because our and we'll dive into the roofs later, but our roof makes a lot more noise than yours does when a ball hits it. So she comes home, throws the headphones on, and could kind of block us out for most of it and block the banging out. But once the headphones ran out of charge, and I had stupidly I threw an over, so I had to run around the back of the house to get the ball, and that was when we were told that's enough of that. But as I mentioned, awesome. It was 10 p.m. We had the floodlight up on the roof to help us keep going, but we didn't want to stop. There was something about it.
That's awesome to hear. So you've played a few times down there. Again, we mentioned some of the videos and stuff, but officially, right? You've hosted a tournament. I believe it's a Silly Sunday. Am I getting that right?
Silly Sunday, yeah. So yeah. You're not sure. You might have heard of Mad Monday. Have you heard of that as well?
I have not.
Or is that? Oh, it must be an Australian thing, rightio. So what we do towards the end of a sporting season, you'd have a day, a bit of a blowout day, like a Mad Monday. You'd all just go have a drink and be around each other on a Mad Monday. If not, you'd hold like a Silly Sunday otherwise. So that was why we held that tournament. We knew we wanted to do something to cap the season off, and of course, Roofball was mentioned by I think everybody in the team. So the Silly Sunday Invitational was created.
That's great. And you have your own YouTube channel, right? It's youtube.com/@roofball, AUS, Australia. Yep. So how did that, was that the first tournament, the Silly Sunday? And was it just kind of that, hey, we want to get together and party and let's play Roofball?
Pretty well, yeah. We like we mentioned off air before, but yeah, we wanted to make sure we had an event where we could iron out rules and somewhat regulations, and so doing that was kind of a two bird one stone scenario. So having that there, so we're like, oh, if we're going to do this, let's have a bit of a crack at it. So yeah, we got the guys running the YouTube channel. We got Spencer, who hosted the day, does a great job. He does all of our editing, all of our socials, and all that as well. So he's doing a fantastic job there. So you're just trying to get that name out there a little bit more. That's the goal.
Well, I thought the production value was higher than I was expecting. I know that you'd talked about having at least a good camera on, but the score bug especially was great and really reinforced to me how important it is to know what the score is to be able to follow. Yeah, how did you decide who was going to do the commentary?
Oh, I think Spencer just put his hand up early. I don't think anyone had to fight him for it. Had to fight him for it. He's like, no, I'll do it. Absolutely loves talking a bit of smack, as you saw throughout it, and spoke really well. And of course, it's not all about me. Yes, Adam, like organising these days, it's not about us. It's about everyone else's involvement and enjoyment. So if that was one thing Spencer wanted to do, why hold him back?
Well, and it was really fun to watch too, because I feel like as our main players have gotten older and as things have gotten a little more serious, the overall smack talk kind of has ebbed away a bit. And so watching you guys was kind of like going into a time machine for me back to when I was in my mid-late 20s, and there was a little more focus on the drinking, a little more focus on the smack talk. So that was a lot of fun to watch. The one thing that I couldn't really get a great sense of was like the height and the distance of things on the roof. Are in your area of Australia, are there roofs that are more similar than not to the one that you'd find at Willis Park, or what are the roofs like in your part of Australia?
Yeah, so they're all over the shop, kind of like they've as far as the chimney or the flute goes, we don't have a lot of those. We got a lot of I think our air conditioning is a little bit different than you guys. We've got big evaporative swampies that sit on top of them, that like they're pretty much a big box. And yeah, so the design's a little bit different. I think I had a bit of a look at the one most probably the most like similar to it was probably the a mix between the Oregon, it's probably a little bit steeper, going with the deck, or the Washington, the shed, the flatter roof there as well.
Gotcha.
Probably more similar to those two, but yeah, finding the right one was hard. But yeah, turns out it was sitting right above me. I hadn't even noticed that I had that set up out there. So look, it was a good start to get it going. But like you said, the distance I think might have been about a 6-meter throw from the little imaginary line up to the pole. And yeah, like, as I mentioned, the roof itself, we don't have the shingles or the tiles. Most of our roofs over here are corrugated Colorbond steel, so it's a bit of a wavy kind of steel.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What about the ball that you used during that tournament?
Oh, the ball, yeah. So we weren't too sure what to do. I know our AFL balls, I think they're around the same size, maybe a little bit bigger than the NFL balls. So that's why we opted for the junior one, and they're a bit of a softer, not a leather, but a softer material as well. And obviously being a little bit lighter made it easier to throw. Because we did have there was a bit of an argument back and forth on what kind of ball to use, but the guys kind of said, no, well, this is our little spin on it, so let's play with those. And when we go over to America, we'll play with theirs then. I said, right, we're going to need a bit of warm up by then, I'm sure.
But you have access. They do sell American footballs in Australia.
Oh yeah. There's sports stores all over that do sell them. Yeah. Okay,
that's good, because we had contact with possible organizer in New Zealand last year, and I asked the same question. And I'll be honest, I think I'm betting Americans would be surprised, because you cannot walk into a sports store in the United States and easily find an Aussie rules football. And sure. We sort of know of American football as a thing that's basically only really played here. So it's a little surprising to hear that you can get them in a sporting goods store in Australia. So that's interesting to know. Sure. So you kind of finished middle of the pack in that tournament. And I know you got some crap for that, including a cameo from a certain roofball person who was told to do that. I was told to. I didn't do that on my own. So what did you learn from competing in that first tournament in terms of like your capabilities and in terms of like the flow of a tournament?
Yeah, well, one thing I learned was, it's well, you're only as good as your next, pretty well. Like I had a pretty handy first round. I think I had a pretty high score. But yeah, coming into the next round was just, yeah, who knows? A little bit of luck involved as well. There was a lot of bounces I had that came back around, and I've seen both of you on many streams have big throws that were looking like a nicer round. No, back they go, and all of there. So it's just about finding that groove and finding that repetition to kind of keep it moving. But yeah, as far as progressing goes, we found like scores were going up and down, and of course over the rest of the day, the score averages were getting a little bit higher. So it's just about getting used to it. Like we don't have a big history of throwing balls. Normally we're doing the hand pass, which you've probably seen in some AFL. So that mechanics, obviously we've got to work on a bit of that. Of course, talking about coming over there, we're going to have to work on that a fair bit. So yeah, just that building that muscle memory pretty much from scratch, and just hunting hard at it.
Awesome. Well, so we talked about the few times you played in the Silly Sunday tournament. Like, what's the future look like for Australian roofball?
Just pretty well following your steps, what you've done over there, and especially Adam, the work you're putting in over there, and we've watched it grow over the last few years. It's a shame we've only just reached out, really, but yeah, just growing the sport, getting the name out there, and I've mentioned it many times, is how much fun we have throughout it and the competitive side of it. So just really promoting that and getting it up and about, getting the name there and growing the brand. That's kind of our plan for now.
Any national championships or tournaments gonna be hosted?
Yeah, well, I'd say we're looking at one maybe early in the year. We kind of thinking over the Christmas period. As you know, our Christmases are a fair bit hotter than yours. I think Christmas last year was about 40 degrees or 38 degrees. So a little bit warmer than the US Christmases. But yeah, that being said, it obviously calls for a nice warm day. So I think somewhere that period might be the go.
Well, and would you be accepting American competitors should they want to come over there?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why we'd love to get a plan now to get the name out there. So if we are blessed with the presence of some greats like yourself, Adam, that'd and of course, sorry, of course you too, Derek. Sorry, mate.
No, I understand.
So yeah, absolutely, we'd be opening it right up. I'm sure that'd build a bit more hype around it also.
Well, Derek, I guess you kind of asked it, but I want to expand on it a little bit. So, you know, my whole thing, like Ann Andre, who set up or Ann Irvine, I should say, who set up the tournament in Detroit, asked me early on when we were talking, you know, what are your ambitions? What are your dreams for Roofball? And I said, well, obviously Olympics. So I don't think there's any downside to thinking big. So if you are the commissioner, the president of Roofball Australia, you know, what's your big dream? What would you like to see Roofball become in your country?
Oh, Olympics would be fantastic. That'd be a big goal. But something that could be interesting, and we've always had that bit of rivalry. And I know you mentioned New Zealand before, but doing like a trans Tasman tournament with those guys either year or something like that might be great, as well as a challenge with you guys as well. But yeah, I guess building it up to the level of where you are now, having a few locations around the place, not just having it honed in little old Albury. We get places up in Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, or even any regional town throughout Australia. Just getting people involved would be fantastic.
I mean, you brought up Olympics, 2032, right? That's there in Australia, I believe.
That's Brisbane, I think.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Demonstration.
If LA passes on it.
32. I like it. Yeah.
We'll do
We
Brisbane.
better get it going then. We might have to have a go at that to try to tarnish our name in the breakdancing world.
You're right. Well, you'll be hitting your athletic prime, or your Roofball athletic prime. I'll only be 57, so there's still a chance. So we talked about Australian winners being eligible to compete at the Worlds, which they absolutely would be. Again, especially internationally, this is absolutely the time to be getting into Roofball because, you know, you might get 12, 20 Australians to play, which means you got like a 1 in 20 chance, or really better than that, because we'd take your top 3. You got like a 1 in 6 chance of competing for a world championship. So I know we've talked a little bit about the possibility of some of your guys coming over and doing a little bit of a U.S. Roofball tour. You know, what would you say, handicap the odds of the champion Australians being at the World Championships at the end of next August?
Oh, you might have to give us 20 points each, I'd say.
What is the odds of you actually being there, I mean?
Oh, the odds of coming. Oh, right. Oh, look, I've mentioned it to the players a couple of times, and they are very, very keen to get over there and have a go. And like you mentioned, with the top three winners of tournaments getting an invitation over, mate, that would just make their day. The goal is to have a game at Willis Park. So that's a bit more as if winning a title isn't enough. The thrill and the privilege of getting to play in Willis Park would just send these guys ballistic.
Well, one thing we don't have scripted, but I want to get out there in case there are people that are relatively physically convenient to you, Australians who might want to get involved. What's the best way for them to reach out to you? What's the best way for them to start maybe populating out a Australian Roofball organization?
I'm not sure if we have an email address yet. We might have to chuck that. Might have to develop one and then just put that on our YouTube channel. And even if you want to share that on the RFA website as well, Adam, if you don't mind that could be a way to stimulate it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's listening to this and it's hard to find and contact, please just reach out to the roofball.org via the contact us form, and we'll make sure that any appropriate messages get sent over. Well, Kurt, once again, thanks not only just for joining, but the love and passion that you have for Roofball, and I'm trying to think of a word to best describe it, but I think your attitude towards Roofball is right spot on.
Exactly,
so really appreciate that. It seems like you and your friends and buds get that. So it's great to see, and thanks for doing what you have for Roofball in Australia.
Oh, thanks so much. Thank you. Yeah, we're absolutely loving it. We're having a ball. talk about it all the time. We actually only spoke about it a few weeks ago when the next one's happening. So, as you know, Adam, I was just over in Spain for a few weeks, and I think the boys were talking about having one when I was away. I told them, "Don't you dare!" So, so they're definitely itching for one soon. So, if we might have a friendly shortly or something.
Well, to echo Derek, he's absolutely right. You know, the great thing about watching you guys play is that you're taking it to the exact right level of seriousness and comedy and lightheartedness. It's like you found the sweet spot almost instinctively. And, you know, every so often, like I kind of just accept the way that things are happening and I don't really internalize it. And I think a little bit, I don't want to jinx it. But I mean, I hope that while you're out there having fun, occasionally think about the fact that there's a guy who in his mind is still like 15 years old, who invented a game, and that game is being played on a different continent. It's mind blowing to me that's happening. So when I can access that particular level of gratitude, I just want to say thank you so much for introducing the game from my mom's driveway onto foreign soil, tens of thousands or 10,000 kilometers away. Thank you so much for doing that.
No, thank you, mate, and thanks for your involvement as well. Just having the back and forth with you, it's been absolutely fantastic. So thanks for letting us play your sport, bring your sport over here. So massive thank you.
You bet.
All right. Well, with that, I'm Derek. That's Adam. Thank you again, Kurt. And we'll talk to you all later.
Thank you.